Good day, everybody. This is a starting lineup of one of my favorite baseball players who unfortunately passed away on July 28th of 2025, Ryne Sandberg. Great second baseman for the Cubs, and here's a picture of him as well. I know it's a few weeks after his death. I didn't know exactly how to go about this. I didn't know exactly what to say that everybody doesn't already know. Great player and whatnot, but thought of a few things. May not be the best things to say, but thought of my own personal thoughts on Sandberg. He was a member of the Cubs when I was born, and when I was a little kid, and the Cubs were on the Superstation, WGN, all the time. And Ryne Sandberg was a big part of making me not only a Cubs fan, but a baseball fan too. Watching the Cubs every day that I could, and Sandberg in the lineup just got me into the game, got me into the Cubs. And Sandberg didn't begin with the Cubs. He began with the Philadelphia Phillies, but the Phillies didn't figure they had any room for him, and they sent him to the Cubs. After Sandberg had very few at-bats with the Phillies, they sent him to the Cubs, and Larry Bowa was also in that trade, by the way, going from Philly to the Cubs. Ivan DeJesus went from the Cubs to Philly. And that's when Sandberg became the superstar and Hall of Famer he was, and led the Cubs to their first division title, their first playoff appearance of any kind. His Cubs division title in 1984 was their first playoff appearance of any kind since 1945. And Sandberg helped lead the Cubs to another division title in 1989. And the game that still gets talked about to this day, even though it was on June 23rd, which is not quite midway through the baseball season, but June 23rd, 1984, Cubs taking on the rival Cardinals on the NBC Game of the Week, back when the network Game of the Week was a big, big deal. And two future Hall of Fame broadcasters, a young Bob Costas, as well as Tony Kubek, we're calling it. And Sandberg hits a home run off future Hall of Fame closer Bruce Sutter of the Cardinals to tie the game at 9. Cardinals score twice in the top of the 10th to take an 11-9 lead. But after a Bob Dernier walk, which might not have been a walk if Cardinals catcher hadn't dropped the ball, might have been a strike. When the Cards catcher drops the ball, there's 2 outs, so that gave Sandberg another chance, representing the tying run again. What'd he do? Hit another home run, and off Bruce Sutter. And the Cubs go on to win the game 12-11 in 11 innings. As a bases-loaded single by Dave Owen is what eventually won the game for the Cubs. Even though I was only 18 days old at the time, I obviously don't remember that game, but when I watch highlights of it, I still get goosebumps. And Sandberg, after a very slow start to the 94 season, stepped away from the game, but returned in 96 and also played the 97 season, which was his last season, and it was during the 97 season that I bought the starting lineup. And I remember getting it. It was Memorial Day weekend. I was in 7th grade, and there was a sports card show at the Southwest Plaza Mall in Denver, about 10 minutes from where I lived, and saw the starting lineup and bought it, and fun time. Fun time for sure. And I think about Sandberg's career after he played, how he Was only the fourth Cub at the time to have his jersey retired in 2005. How he became a manager in the minor leagues. Even made it to the major leagues for a little while with the Philadelphia Phillies. That run, unfortunately, lasted less than 2 seasons. The Phillies weren't the best at the time, but he gave it his best effort like he always did. And like he said when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, in 2005, he was there based on one word, respect, which is what he had for baseball, and as a result, everyone had respect for him. Throw in the fact that he was very humble, didn't really like the limelight that much. And he became an ambassador for the Cubs in 2016, just in time for the Cubs to win their first World Series since 1908. And while other Cub greats like Ron Santo, Ernie Banks, broadcasters Harry Carey and Jack Brickhouse never lived to see the Cubs win the World Series, Ryne Sandberg did. And because he was an ambassador for the team, he got a World Series ring, too. And while, like most of you know, if you follow me on social media or even watch some of these videos, I sometimes have a bit of the get off my lawn attitude. I'm not crazy about what the powers that be have done with baseball. Fundamentals aren't always the greatest. But Sandberg still loved the game. He still loved going to Wrigley Field. He still loved going to the ballpark in his later years. And while it was sad when he was diagnosed with metastatic prostate cancer, it was really good news when it sounded like he'd beaten it and was cancer-free and everything was going well, but then late in 2024, the cancer returned and it spread to other organs, and unfortunately that proved to be the beginning of the end for Ryne Sandberg as he passed away again July 28th of 2025 at the age of 65. But certainly a player I'll never forget, and him along with Mark Grace, Sean Dunston, Greg Maddux for the little while he was with the Cubs, and of course broadcasters Harry Carey and Steve Stone, well as other broadcasters like Tom Brenneman and Wayne Larrivee, part of why I became a Cub fan and a baseball fan. Ryne Sandberg certainly will be, and already is, sorely missed, and wanted to give my personal memories of Sandberg. And one other thing about that game of the week in '84, when Sandberg hit the 2 tying home runs and the Cubs eventually beat the Cards. There was nothing else. I mean, like I said, the baseball game of the week was a big, big deal back then, but with no football or anything to compete against it, that allowed that baseball game to take the whole spotlight. Thank you for watching and listening. I'll talk to you soon. In the meantime, take care, everyone.